friends. Welcome to the Inspiring Heights podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Kaiser, and I am delighted that you are here with us today. Our mission here at Inspiring Heights is to inspire you, our friends, to grow closer in your relationship with Jesus and to live inspired in your day-to-day life. We talk about all things faith, rhythmic living, and homemaking. Listen, we know you have a zillion podcasts that you could listen to, and we are honored that you chose to sit here with us today. With that, let's get right to it. Hi friends, welcome to episode 36 of the Inspiring Heights podcast. Before we dive right in, I just want to apologize up front. I have had a nasty summer cold this week, and you get to hear my nasally voice throughout this entire show, and I'm so sorry. I waited as long as I could to record in hopes that you wouldn't have to hear it, but here we are, and it's just going to be what it is. So thanks for tuning in. In the last episode, we talked about some of the lessons that I've learned about this summer season that we find ourselves in. And one of the things that we talked about was how cooking in the summertime just isn't the same. And I really don't think I'm alone in that. So I thought it would be fun to talk about summertime in our kitchens for just a few minutes. Despite there being a very real shift in my desire to be in the kitchen as much during the summer, there are some really fun things to be done there in this season that can bring both joy and comfort to our families now and in the future. And as I would argue is true about all things in life, a lot of finding our way around the kitchen in the summer is creating a plan for what it is that we want to do there. We are all in different seasons of life, and we have different needs and desires for what we want to have produced in our kitchen over the summertime. Listen, as always, that is okay. No matter if you are putting up a 2-acre garden this year or you are planning to feed your family with frozen pizza until pumpkin spice lattes roll back around, a plan can help us to stay on budget, reduce stress, be prepared, and ultimately serve our people well. Okay, going full on homemaker for a bit. One of the things that is so important to our family is to consider what we want to produce now in this fresh fruit and veggie season that we will be thanking our future selves for once the snow flies. I know that's kind of a funny thing to consider, like it's June after all. On the other hand, it's already June. We are starting to gear up for the best fresh fruit season of the year, and I want to be prepared. There are tons of ways that we can preserve fresh fruits and veggies in this plentiful season. Freezing, canning, dehydrating, and freeze-drying are some of the most common methods. Depending upon the what and the how, the shelf life for each of those varies. So part of planning ahead is taking inventory. What do we already have and how much might we need later? Another thing to think through is what did we preserve last year that we thought we would use, but we really didn't? I made oodles of peach jam last year because we bought peaches from a fruit truck that weren't very good for eating. And it was a great way to not waste them. But honestly, there is still a lot of peach jam in our canned storage area. So when I'm planning out our bulk fruit purchasing this year, I need to consider other methods for preserving the fruit that can serve us while not creating such a stockpile that it goes to waste. Because let's be real, I am not about spending 12 hours in the kitchen canning jam to then turn around and throw it away a few years down the road because I made too much. And then continuing in that line of thinking, the next question becomes, how then might we pivot on what we didn't use last year and do something different this year? Back to the peach example, it is impossible to guarantee that the peaches in a box from Colorado are going to be delicious. The truth is, it is a gamble every time, no matter where they come from. So instead of potentially missing out on delicious peaches, which can easily be blanched and chopped and frozen for a great summer taste all year round, I'm going to plan on what else I could do with mushy peaches in case that were to occur again. Like puree them with some other fruit and then dehydrate them and make fruit roll-ups. That sounds awesome, right? And then following the whole purpose of planning then leads me to ask, do I have what I need? Specifically, do I have the tools and the equipment necessary to do the preserving that I'm hoping to do? If not, we have great opportunities to look for it while we're garage sailing or shopping holiday weekend bargains, which happen multiple times throughout the summer. The final component of planning is the actual food piece. If we aren't the ones who have a 2-acre garden, where will our fresh fruits and vegetables come from? Where do the peaches that we are going to make fruit roll-ups come from? Where do the vegetables that we're going to can salsa with come from? Spending some time now to research local farmers markets, fruit trucks, or places like Azure Standard can provide us the opportunity to plan ahead, support local and or small farmers, and save us some money. So to summarize, for my food preserving friends, first, what do we want to preserve now that we will thank our cold selves later when the leaves from the apple trees wither away and beautiful white snow blankets the entire earth? Second, take a quick inventory. Third, what did we preserve last year that didn't get used or go over the way that we hoped it would? How do we pivot on that this year? 4, do we have the tools and equipment that we need to do the preserving that we're planning to do? And 5, where will we get the food that we're going to preserve? Okay, so the next thing is really planning more short-term, like day to day, week to week. What is the role of the kitchen in our lives in this season? I think in seasons like summer, when it's hot and there's just a desire for easier, lighter meals all the way around, the question, what can I do now to make life a little easier later, can serve us incredibly well. Everyone has a different eating preference, right? Like I am someone who can have the same thing for lunch over and over and over again for years and literally be totally content. Insert pickles and cottage cheese, which have been my lunch for, 3 or 4 years now. Other people are like, leftovers? No, I don't think so. You know what you and your family will or will not appreciate when it comes to meals. But no matter what, there's some opportunities for batching, repurposing, and creating some ease for our summer cooking selves. So here's some tips and tricks that I love to use. 1, cook meat in bulk. Whether you are someone who could eat chicken and rice left over for an entire week, or you're the one and done kind of meal person, this trick can serve you. I don't do it with all meat. Like, I don't really like leftover steak, and I'm kind of the same about roast beef. But things like pork and chicken and even ground hamburger, I love to do this. It makes it easy to have chicken and rice for supper tonight, chicken pot pie tomorrow, and chicken enchiladas the day after that. When I don't have to take the step of cooking the meat for a meal, it feels like we're already 50% of the way there. 2, make a staples list. Rinse and repeat. I don't know about you, but I really despise grocery shopping. And I know that I've met some of you who thinks it's one of the funnest things. So I wish I shared that with you, but honestly, in this particular season of my life, it's one of those things I don't want to have to spend a ton of time thinking about. Something I learned a long time ago is that having a staples list can make the weekly grocery shopping a breeze. For me, I know what stuff I always want to have in the pantry and I always want to have in the refrigerator. And when I go grocery shopping online to be delivered to my house, I know I'm bougie and I'll totally own that title when it comes to grocery shopping. I order the same thing nearly every week. When hubby or I go to Sam's Club for a quick pickup, we are after the same things every time. This takes the guesswork, the time, the decision making, and the extra spending on the unneeded items out of grocery shopping. This has been a huge win in the Kaiser household. Tip number 3, keep dessert on hand. We did this last year and it was a huge hit. We love to host a lot of friends in our home, and especially during the summertime for dinner and game nights, it's so much fun. And we're in that season of life where we have a lot of friends who have tiny humans. So an ice cream bar was the perfect solution for an on-hand, always ready to go, budget-friendly plan. We had all different kinds of toppings and cones and ice cream in the house at all times. The kids thought it was a blast. The adults thought it was delicious. And the fact that all I had to do to prepare it was pull it out of the freezer, well, that was just the icing on the top. It doesn't have to be an ice cream bar, cookies in the freezer, brownie mix in the pantry, whatever that thing is for you. If you're going to be hosting or your family has a sweet tooth, it is a must-do hack. Tip number 4, prepare ahead of time. This is the answer to the question, what can I do now that my future self will thank me for? This can be incredibly simple things, like washing the berries when you get home from the store instead of putting them in the fridge dirty, or making 24 cookies tonight instead of just 1 so that the other can go in the freezer for next week's tea party. As you think about the week in front of you, ask yourself rhythmically, what can I do right now that might help me tomorrow? Summertime is different in the kitchen, but it doesn't have to be stressful or chaotic or even non-existent. With a bit of forethought and planning, we can use the kitchen to serve our people and ourselves well throughout this summer season. Before I go, I want to take just a second to tell you what's been inspiring me this week. So like I mentioned, I've been down for the count this week with a nasty summer cold. And you guys, my sweet husband has cared so well for me. I have cooked 0 meals this week, literally 0. He has taken care of every supper time, made sure that I had liquids and cough drops, and rubbed endless amounts of eucalyptus oil on my back, and checked on me often throughout the day. And his selfless serving day after day is always inspiring to me, but I am especially grateful and notice it even more when I am down for the count and he shows up consistently with a servant's heart. All right, friends, I would encourage you to stop and consider what's been inspiring you this week.
Friends, thank you so much for listening in today. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. If you're so inclined, we would love for you to leave a review of the show wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps potential new listeners to get a feel for the show before they even hit play. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Inspiring Heights. If you haven't already, you can sign up for our newsletter, Inspiration from the Moment, by visiting our website, inspiringheights.org, and hovering over the Contact Us link. If you have friends that aren't yet subscribers, please share the podcast with them if you think it's something that would be helpful and inspiring to them. Okay, friends, until next time, take a deep breath and be inspired where your feet are. Bye for now.